publisher of GetAMPED, and we've got Kenny Shepard on the phone. Hey, Kenny, how you doing today?
Great, man. How are you?
Good. I understand you're in the studio now.
Yeah, we're working on a new record, and it's going exceptionally well.
How I Go had so many textures on it, between, the covers, the Beatles, Bessie Smith, Albert King covers, to what I consider a 70s throwback with Cold. Now that you're in the studio working on the new record, can you tell me about the direction you're heading in?
Actually, yeah, we're going all blues for this record, and we're basically, revisiting some of my biggest influences and some of the musicians that really inspired me early on in my career. So, I've been delving into the material of a lot of my heroes and picking some of the songs that I think, my band could do a great job with, but also songs that have not been covered a million times before. So basically, it's going to be a straight-ahead blues record with a lot of showcasing the artists that inspired me to pick up the guitar and play in the first place, and help kind of mold and shape who I am as an artist today.
I reviewed some of the video footage from How I Go, which had you, having a good time co-producing with Jerry Harrison. Will you be co-producing on this project?
Actually, I'm producing this project. So.
Oh.
Yeah, and I have some people that are helping me with production. Brady Blade, we're actually at a studio here in my hometown in Shreveport, Louisiana, called Blade Studios. Brady's kind of the namesake for the studios, but he's also a very, pretty much a world-renowned drummer, and he's been in the studio with us every day, participating in the process as well. And one of my dear friends, Bill Fordresher, who was produced Ambrosia back in the day, and he's actually the guy that discovered me when I was 13 years old, and said, hey, man, you should go in the studio and make a record, And so we're recording in my hometown. It's the first album that I've ever recorded in Shreveport, and we're reassembling some of the people that, were instrumental in the infancy of my career, back when I was doing demos and putting my first band together and all that stuff. So it's a bit of a homecoming of sorts, and it's been a lot of fun.
Artists like, Albert King and Albert Collins and even Derek Trucks play, without a guitar pick. And I've seen you play both with and without. Do you favor one over the other, or is it a matter of just tone in the studio?
Yeah, it's all about tone and, what I'm trying to accomplish. And the same thing goes live. A lot of times I'll alternate. I'll hold the pick in the palm of my hand while I'm using my fingers, and then I'll go back to the pick. It just depends on the sound and the attack that you want to get, from the instrument. But there's a lot of my biggest heroes, and a lot of the players with some of the most unique sounds are the guys that didn't use a pick, like Albert Collins and Hubert Sumlin and Albert King. And, there's just a lot of guys that created a very unique sound by not using a pick at all.
Changing gears just a little bit here. The music business has changed so much, and country is really big right now. And there's a lot of artists that are writing crossover songs. And it seems like everybody's working with everybody else, creating these hybrid projects between genres. Have you ever entertained doing a track that crosses the boundary like that?
Yeah, I always leave all options on the table. So when it comes to being creative, I'm an artist, so I like to try all kinds of different things. And musically, maintain my freedom, to do whatever I want to do, while also maintaining my integrity as an artist as well. But, I've played on, several years ago, I played on a Willie Nelson record. Travis Tritt, a couple years ago, recorded one of my songs, and I played that on his record. Wynonna Judd, several years back, recorded a song that I wrote, and I played guitar on that. So I'm no stranger to country music, but I haven't necessarily played on, one of the more mainstream country artists' tracks, one of the pop country artists of the day. But, I'm into interesting collaborations and whatever works and ultimately is fun to do,
Well, even just in the blues, have you ever worked or do you aspire to work with people like Bonnie Raitt or Susan Tedeschi?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've played with most of these people. I have, personal relationships with a lot of these people. I know them very well. We're talking about having some guests come in and maybe, perform a little bit on this album. So there is that possibility. But that would be mostly within the blues realm,
B.B. King has, Lucille, and you have that 61 Strat that's been with you for a while. Have you named her? And more importantly, have you written about your guitar?
Well, I haven't really named it. I never found a name that I thought was good enough for it, you know? It's just like always, every time I thought of one, it didn't quite seem to fit my guitar. And a lot of times the guitars have, you know, female names, you know, but there's something about, I don't know, the beating that my guitar has taken. It just seems like it might be more of a, have more of a male spirit. The other thing is, you know, yeah, I've written about my guitars. I've written songs that have to do with my guitars, but they've never actually appeared on any of my records.
Ah, so that's something maybe you'll pull out later.
It's possible.
All right, well, you know, it's been pretty well documented on how you met and were inspired by Stevie Ray Vaughan when you were young. Let's fast forward to you now at 35. Do you see yourself taking some big-eyed kid under your wing?
Well, I certainly try to reach out to young players, you know, whenever possible, and extend myself and you know, just try and encourage them. You know, there's a lot of young kids that come to my shows and want me to autograph their guitars and say that they want to put a band together and stuff. And then I'm also, you know, really good friends with some of the guys that are, you know, a bit younger than me that are doing this, you know, guys like Ryan McGarvey and this dude Wes Jeans, and, you know, there's a younger generation of guys that are coming along that I've met along the way. And, you know, my thing is, I mean, I feel like, you know, my responsibility is to just be, you know, a good example to them, like B.B. King was to me. I mean, B.B. King has just been a tremendous example of, you know, how to handle yourself, you know, after, I don't know, man, like 60 or 70 years of doing this, you know, it's like he's one of the most gracious people you would ever meet. So, you know, I feel like, you know, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with a position. Don't want to take that for granted, you know. So, yeah, I try and make myself available to those guys and you know, to help whenever possible in whatever way that I can.
Well, you know what, taking that just a little more personal, you know, with the music business, it's changed so much over the past, you know, 10 years, I guess since Napster, really. And success kind of has a new definition today. If one of your kids, and I know you have 3 young kids, if one of your kids told you they wanted to follow you in your footsteps, what would you say? I
would say I support you 100%. Do whatever, if that's, you know, I want my kids to do something that they're passionate about. And to me, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as they enjoy doing it and that they believe in what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's music or, I don't know, I mean, anything, you know, if they want to be a doctor, a lawyer, if they want to be a musician, if they want to go and do charity work their whole life, I mean, whatever, as long as they really feel passionate about it and believe in what they do, then I support them in that.
You know, with 3 young kids, how is the road family balance work with the Shepherds?
Well, you know, it's just a matter of trying to not spend too much time away from home and be sure that my kids know that I'm present and accounted for them, and that they're priority one in my life. And, you know, so it seems to, I mean, like right now they're with me here in the studio working, you know, while I'm working, and they come out on the road with me whenever possible, but they're getting to the age now where they're starting school. So, you know, have to get a little creative as far as that goes. But, you know, I try not to stay gone for too many weeks before I go back home and you know, regroup with the family and stuff. You know, I'm just not one of those dads that's going to leave home and come back in a couple of years and have my kids growing up and not have been there for it, you know?
Right. Well, you know, it's funny. This is probably a perfect spot to ask you this. One of our readers wanted to know if you've ever gotten the lethal weapon stare from your father-in-law.
No, not me. No. I get along great with my entire family, both sides of my family, my own and my wife's family. So, you know, I try and be a stand-up dude so that I don't give people a reason to look at me like that, you know.
How is the dynamic in the family with more than one famous in the fold?
Oh, you know, I don't feel like it's any different than, you know, I mean, it's just life as I know it, really. I mean, I can't imagine it being any different, but it doesn't seem, you know, it's just normal life to me.
Okay, you know? Cool. The last official question I have for you is one we ask everybody since we're GetAMPED Magazine. Well, Kenny, what gets you amped?
What gets me amped is, I would say, well, there's a lot of things. I mean, you know, guitars and cars are 2 of the biggest things to get me amped. But as far as music goes, man, just a real serious groove right back in the pocket really gets me amped, and that's what we're focusing on with this new record.
Right. All right. Well, that sounds good. Let me just say thanks for your time today, and I wish you a lot of luck on the new record. I look forward to hearing it. You know, it's great talking to you today, man.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one.
All right. Take care, Kenny.
All right. Bye.